There are way too many strengths with this build. I advise that if you do not know how to use the spear that well and you're confused with the terminology that we'll be using to set up everything with this build, I advise for you to watch my spear guide, because there is some tricky terminology and the game does not do that much of a great job to explain to you that well this terminology. But with this build, you're going to have survivability, where you're going to have mobility, you're going to have hyper armor, huge, and I mean huge amounts of damage, and you're basically going to be unkillable because you're always, as you can see right in here, are going to be flying around like a maniac. And while you have this hyper armor, you can also interrupt the elite enemies, those beefy enemies that have lots of stance or lots of poise. You're still going to be able to stagger them, even if it's like huge packs of enemies like the ones that you are seeing right in here. You're going to stagger them, and if they manage to somehow deal damage to you, you are going to out-heal them. That is how powerful this weapon is. And I'm going to guide you through everything that you need to know about the weapon for the regular playthrough of a game, from early to mid to end game, a little bit more into the end game. But first, we are going to need the actual weapon that we're using. Believe it or not, this is going to be a strength weapon. This is the Cloudpiercer. This is a weapon that we're going to be building towards strength because it has the highest scaling possible out of strength. However, this is somewhat of a late game weapon. You get this until like the end of chapter 3. If you're going to be building the character as I am writing here, then the red tassel spear, which is one of the basic early game spears that you can get, it's kind of amazing, and you're not going to have to change the scaling that I'm going to about to show you right now, because the scaling on this one does not differentiates that much, does not matter that much, because it's either level 3 on strength and level 3 on agility. So yeah, what I'm about to show you when it comes to the scaling and how to build a weapon would be different. For example, if we were using the steam powered spear, which is level 4 in agility, you would want to be building this towards agility instead of this one right in here. But with the Cloudpiercer and the red tassel spear, we can by all means be building towards strength and still be as viable as possible. However, as you can see, if we're not using, this is something that you should change as soon as you get this Cloudpiercer, because if you continue with the red tassel spear, you're going to lose about 150-ish around the damage, so that's not ideal. This is what you would want to be using more often than not. That said, the requirements that we are going to need more than anything, this is just like the basic stuff for early game. On the early stages of the game, you should be reaching around level 40, 50-ish, as you'll be able to see right in here. I'm level 149. I've used around 40 points of my levels, and I still have 100 levels available. So this means that at around level 40, you can build the basic stuff of everything. You can take the left portion right in here. A couple of stuff that is going to be very important is going to be the health siphon. The actual combo that I will be showing you at the end of the video, there's going to be the inputs at the end of the video, so if you want to skip to that, then that's nice. But more than not, the combo that we're using like the 80% of the time, it always has this active, because what this does is that every time you're above 90% madness, you should be, by all means. The final strike of the weapon light attack combos, it's always going to heal you. The actual combo, then you'll notice that because the weapon actually glows, we are always going to have this active like 50% of the time. Then I like to use the rapid temperance just to temper our weapon that much faster, but then I like to use the bone needle leech. There's going to be lots of different sources of healing that we are going to have all throughout the game, but more than anything, it's going to be this right in here and this right in here, which is what's going to allow you to out heal and punch through the hyper armor that you have with the enemies and stun them and still be able to trade and out heal everything that you trade. This rest of the stuff that we have right in here is just your regular temper stuff and your regular mana bases. Those should be I'd say that the focus should be first here, and then you can leave this portion for later stages of the game once you have managed to get all of this stuff right in here, which is going to be the basic. Then you are going to be able to build into the spear tree. And this is just basically self-explanatory. You're going to be taking everything that is not the actual active skills that we're not going to be using. So for example, we're not going to be using the Furious Staff, we're not going to be using the Spear Flurry, we're not going to be using the Spear Veil. What we are going to be using, and this is the quintessential part of the build, and for this to work, as I am about to show you in a while, the Solar Leap. So basically you're going to be spamming this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're always going to have hyper armor, you're always going to be buffed, you're always going to be dealing lots and lots and tremendous amounts of damage. But we'll dive into this a little bit later on. Just know that this is a requirement. I do not advise for you to take that much endurance, because this is a build that it is always going to have 100% of the endurance all the time. You do not need endurance at all with this build. Sure, we are going to be required to take it here and there sometimes, like this one right in here, but you will notice that I am not upgrading this guy right in here at all. You should upgrade the agility, although this is not going to be like a mandatory thing. Focus, prioritize strength and vitality. That is going to be everything that you're going to be needing. So do not take either the magic nor the feathering that you're going to have right in here. Once you have managed to max out all of this, like I mentioned, you should be around 40-ish. This is early game. Once you get into the mid-game, the second 3 that you're going to upgrade is going to be the Axe one. The reason for this being, it's very simple, because this gives you strength and vitality. So damage and survivability. Lots of strength and vitality, and you should be maxing out everything that this tree can give you. And you should be avoiding endurance as much as you can possibly do, because in a little while I'll show you why. But yeah, take as much vitality, strength, just so that you're a little beefier. That's going to be great. And you can see that we can be taking lots and lots and lots of strength points right in here. And then we do not need to take these guys right in here. We can go directly into this. At this point, you should be around level 100-ish. So, and you already have lots of strength. But we can take a little bit more strength. This should be like entering into the end game and going a little bit into the New Game Plus. The next portion that you want to take is strength from the actual sword tree that you're going to find on the left side. This is going to have lots of vitality and strength as well, as you can see right in here. But prioritize your strength, and in little to no time, you're going to have nearly 80 points of strength. So your weapon is going to be kind of maxed out at this point, and we are already just like level 100. And this is the level that you're going to be once you reach the end game. So in a single playthrough, this is how you should be looking like. If you want to increase more stuff from in here, going into New Game Plus like I have right in here, spend more points into your vitality, but also this is where you can start branching out and taking some agility points as well, because while the scaling of this weapon is not as amazing, and you can be taking more skill trees from the sword right in here to even max out that much more as strength. This is always going to be damage that it's going to be nice to have. It's always nice to have that extra damage. The final stretch, like, I do not have enough points to do so, but the final stretch, if you really want to do so, go into agility from the daggers. But yeah, agility is not going to do that much for you. Talismans. Anything that it increases, it's going to be different for you, and depending on the place of the game that you are. I like to use the Wishborn pendant, because this actually does increases the healing effects that we have right in here, the potency of our physical attacks, and then the power of our discipline skills. We're using a discipline skill like 100% of the time, so this is just pure raw damage that you always have active at all times. Tempering our weapon, our leech, as you know, right in here. If you want to take advantage of the boss's weaknesses, you can, but I'd say that this is like something that you do not need to change 100% of the time. It's always going to be amazing, and it's also going to increase your damage natively, because you can be taking like the agility, stone needle, the actual needle that increases the basic native power, attack power of the weapon, and then the duration effect. So yeah. Benediction. This is actually going to be pretty important. We do not care about the set bonuses. Anything that has the Skyborn word onto it, it's always going to be amazing outside from the endurance. So the Skyborn Might reduces the damage taken for a time. You're always going to have a hyper armor, and you're always going to have this 100% of the time active, like quite literally at all flipping times. I'll explain to you why in a little while. And then the Skyborn Rejuvenation, this is something that you do not get until like the final chapter of the game. You get this on the 5th chapter of the game, so that's a bummer. But you'll also have like different sources of healing, like I have already showed you, so there's going to be extra more stuff right in there. And then the increase your damage during Skyborn Might, this is like basically extra damage buff that it is always going to be active 100% of the time. So let me show you how this works. This is the combo that you are going to be using. It's the Discipline skill, the Solar Leap that we have already purchased, and then you follow up with an RV. And there's little to nothing else that you need to do. Both of these attack animations have hyper armor, because you're always having, like, it's the actual skill, and you will notice that the second input of the RP, it's a light attack combo finisher. That is why we have active the skill tree. You have to have 90% madness for this to heal, but also this is going to give you one Skyborn Might every single time, because every single light attack combo finisher gives you one Skyborn Might at all times. And you will see that because of this, all of our Skyborn Might buffs are always active. The one for healing, the one for damage, the one for armor. So you have armor, you have more damage, you have healing, and you also have like the hyper armor. All of these effects are always active at all times. There's one more thing that you need to have into account right in here, and that is the Emboldening Spear. You're going to get one stack of Emboldening Spear every time that you do a light attack combo. So you might be thinking that you cannot go beyond one stack of Skyborn Might, because as soon as you land that final finisher, then you immediately have to cast the weapon skill, which is going to cost one Skyborn Might, and yeah, so on and so forth. But you're also getting Emboldening Spear stacks. Those Emboldening Spear stacks are going to be increasing every other attack. And because of how fast you attack, you have to wait like little to no time before being able to finally cast the actual skill of the weapon that costs 3 Skyborn Might. You should be using this whenever you have 4 Skyborn Might, so you have one left over to continue the attack. But yeah, that's going to be like the extra burst of damage, because it is highly damaging and you can continue the combo like that. And just like that, you have one of the most powerful broken spear builds out there in the game for exploration. This is just amazing. Sure, you do have to be a little bit more careful when it comes to boss fights, but as you can see right in here, you can trade with the enemy provided that you have the armor and resistances that you need against that specific boss fight. Because then again, you're going to be dealing lots of staggering damage. Not only that, you're going to be out healing basically anything that they throw at you. And this gameplay that I have for you right in here, this is also a New Game Plus, so it's that much more scary. Imagine on the base game. Like, yeah, this is just an amazing build. If you like the content, like and never super appreciate it, and also you're the gorgeous beautiful person, you're in the gorgeous beautiful person, subscribe to the channel, you're in Discord, have a beautiful day, goodbye.